So going gluten-free, you might have discovered that it changed the way your body reacted when you eat. You may have had constipation before you got a celiac disease diagnosis, or you might have discovered that you now have constipation after a celiac disease diagnosis. For me personally, diarrhea was one of my symptoms, whereas constipation was one of my mum's. And that's why it took her such a long time to piece together that constipation can be a symptom of celiac disease. So when we see more and more people struggling with this problem, they absolutely should be tested for celiac disease without a shadow of a doubt. If it's something that they're struggling with, they should also be tested with celiac disease, not just people presenting with diarrhea. So anyway, so what are some of the causes of getting constipation? Change in diet is the first thing that I'm always going to focus on. So when you've gone gluten-free, there is a huge shift in the way that you eat, and you may have changed to eating more packaged foods, or it could be simply that you've just shifted to gluten-free packaged foods. And the problem with a lot of gluten-free packaged foods is they're low in fiber. So you might have been eating stuff before that, yes, it might have been packaged, but it might have had a higher fiber content. So it could be simply just swapping those foods over has caused, you're absorbing less fiber from your diet. And the next one is you're no longer eating the high fiber grains that you used to eat. So if this is something that you're aware of, then we're going to talk in a moment about some of the better high fiber grains that you can now add into your diet that will help you with getting rid of constipation. Stress is another big one. Stress can play a huge part in causing constipation. So it might not have anything to do with celiac disease, or it could be that flow-on effect of now you are stressed about your diet. You're stressed about your food intake. And yes, it is a result of celiac disease because it has triggered that stress. So if it is stress, yes, it can absolutely cause you to feel constipated. And then hormones can play a part in that as well. So hormones are something that we can kind of look at and go, yes, that triggers us. I know for me, certain times of the month, my bowel movements change, absolutely. So that might be something worth looking at as well. Now, when we think of constipation, I want you to think about it like this, okay? So there's basically your body will consume the food, not your body, you eat the food. Your food passes through your body, and then when it gets to the lower end of your small intestine, it may be that your body simply cannot process the poop because it's so undigested, because there wasn't enough fiber in it. And what happens is your body is absorbing a huge amount of moisture from that food instead of absorbing the nutrients. So what happens then is that stool or that poop is now extra hard and makes it extra hard to evacuate from your body. Such a great topic, isn't it? So it can be as simple as that, okay? So this is where it's so important for you to add in more fiber into your diet. And depending on what you may have heard so far or what you might have been recommended, you might have been told that it's just a simple fact of going and drinking some prune juice and you'll be fixed. Well, that's okay short term, but I want you to focus on long term, because if this is something that you struggle with, you do need to change your diet and you do need to add in more fiber rich foods, okay? So there's no point in just drinking some prune juice and that fixes the problem, or you take a laxative and that fixes the problem, and then you continue on for a couple of weeks and then you get it again and you do the same thing. You're just repeating the same thing over and over. You're just going to keep doing the same thing. You're not going to get the good results that you should get from changing your diet. So in that respect, it's about adding in fiber rich foods. So when we talk about grains, you've cut out that wheat, you've cut out the whole grains from that. So you need to replace those. So the best things that I can recommend for you as far as high fiber would be quinoa millet, and amaranth. If you can add one or all of those into your diet, and you can have those different ways, you can have them as breakfast cereals, you can add them into meals. There's so many ways that you can enjoy them, and that will be adding or increasing the amount of fiber in your diet. So very helpful to add in those grains when we've cut out the other grains. And if you have been focusing on rice, so a lot of people think, well, I'm going to eat brown rice because that's healthier. Brown rice isn't very high fiber, so you're better off focusing on these other grains. Just a little tip for you there. All right, now when you're increasing your fiber intake, you really need to increase your water intake as well. It's really important that you make sure you're drinking lots of water when you're increasing your fiber intake, because guess what? It can backfire and it can make it worse. So you need the water to help with that, okay? So you need to make sure you're drinking more water when you start increasing your fiber intake. Now, when we think of another way of increasing our fiber, it can be through high fiber fruits and vegetables. And for me, that's a no-brainer. We definitely should be adding more fruits and vegetables in, but I know for a lot of people it can be quite challenging. So look at the foods that you're eating, look at some ways that you can add in some healthy fruits and vegetables that you enjoy that are going to increase that fiber intake. And what I would say is, if you are a banana lover, cut the bananas out for a little bit just till you get your bowel movements back on track, because as you may or may not know, bananas are a binder, so they will help bind food. And I recommend bananas for when people have diarrhea, so we don't want to be having them when you've got constipation, okay? So cut the bananas out just for a little bit, just till you get your body back on track, okay? Now, if you want to go down the route of taking fiber supplements, or, taking, say, like eating prunes, something like that, it is something that you could do alongside your diet until you get things on track. But you need to do it regularly. I wouldn't say just do it for a little bit and then stop. I'd say continue with that until you've got things on track. Now, gut inflammation is another cause of your body being out of whack. So probiotics can certainly help with this as well. So for me, I do recommend that everyone takes a probiotic supplement or increases their probiotic food intake. So that's something to look at as well. Now, if you do wonder a little bit about whether you've got healthy poo, this is something that I learned during my training as a health coach, and also when I learned about detoxing and was running detox programs or cleansers, whatever you want to call them. We learned about poo and how your poo should look and be. So if you don't know about that, I recommend you Google Bristol poop chart. This is part of my programs that I offer, but just jump on Google. It'll come up as an image, and it's Bristol poop chart. So it's BRISTOL, and it will show you it's cartoons. It's not pictures. I shouldn't say that. It's just little cartoons of what your poop should look like, basically. So we're aiming for a number 4, okay? So on that chart, we want to aim for a number 4. That's like the gold standard of what we want our poop to look like. It means we've got our diet on track, our stress levels are good, we've got our bowel movements are just spot on, and that is what we want to aim for. So yeah, Google that and have a look and see, compare. And if you're not looking in the toilet at your poop, start doing it, because it's a game changer. Oh my God, this just went really downhill really fast. But it's important. It is part of our health. It's part of our life. And we do learn a lot from our bodily functions and from our poo. So yeah, I do recommend that you look at your poo if you're not doing that already, and it will give you a good indication of your health and how you're going, for sure. So yeah, if this has helped you, I am very pleased to hear that. If you've pressed skip and you haven't even got to this point, well, you're not hearing me say this, so that's fine. Totally understand. But for those of you that do suffer from constipation, it's not a laughing matter. It really isn't, because I know how much it can affect you and how you go about your day. So I totally understand how you feel, because it is something that it can be quite debilitating. So I hope this has helped give you some ideas on how to move forward, and also on what could possibly be causing it for you. So Thank you for listening to the end. I appreciate you. So until next time, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk with you again next week. Take care. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, head to belindawhelan.com to get yourself a free copy of my exclusive ebook, 11 Mistakes People Make Going Gluten-Free Living with Celiac Disease.